How you doing? My name is Anthony Grigsby. I'm the owner of World Events Insurance. I also represent Stockton Black Family Day and San Joaquin Black Biz organizations. I grew up here in Stockton. I'm a product of Stockton Unified Public School System. I went to Hamilton Middle School, Stagg High School. Big fan of the local school system here, good programs. From there, I went on to Stanislaus State, and that's where I finished up marketing there. But yeah, I'm born and bred here in Stockton, California. Well, to me, love means loving yourself and loving your community and your family. You know, those are big, important factors in life. If you don't love yourself, you definitely cannot love anyone else. And if you're not brought up to love your elders, you definitely will not respect your community. So love is a big thing if you know how to implement that. Respect goes along the same as love. You know, you love and honor, respect your elders. You respect yourself as an individual. And from there, you can learn to respect your community. Honor. I believe honor is something that is definitely taught, and it should be taught more. I think we've lost the ability or the necessity to teach our kids and teach our youth honor. Because how you carry yourself and how you represent yourself is how you represent your community. So honor, I think, is a big thing that should be re-implemented in our home as well as in our schools. Biggest person that I honor would be my mother and father, my parents. You know, I mean, that's an easy question to answer. My mother was very integral in helping to develop this community. She was a leader in Stockton Unified School District, one of the first Black teachers in Stockton Unified School District, and she paved the way for a lot of teachers that are there now. So she's one of the main people I honor. My grandfather is another. He was one of the first Black contractors in the union here in Stockton back in the 50s and 60s when they wouldn't allow Black people to be members of the union. So he helped pave the way for a lot of the Black contractors that are here today. And he also used his household as a landing point for people to come from Mississippi to establish a foothold here in California. They lived with my grandparents before they got established here on their own. So those are the people that I honor. I believe I did get the love for community from my family. Also, just seeing how we were raised in the 70s. We were raised really as a village, and seeing how it's different now gives you a nostalgic feeling that those are the important factors that helped us grow as individuals, is the community that helped us grow around us. You know, Miss Johnson down the street that would, you know, bring me home when I was acting up, things like that. You don't have that these days, and that was important. Strong fatherhood, I think, is missing. You know, I had the privilege and benefit of having strong fathers in my life. And I see, as a coach, you know, a youth sports coach, I see so many kids without fathers, not just Black and brown kids, but kids in general, without fathers there to help guide them and nurture them and teach them how to be men. Some of the lessons that I've learned as a young boy would be to be honest, to be truthful, to stand by your word, and to live by those principles will help guide you as a man when you navigate, you know, this system. If you can be held accountable to your word, then you'll be respected as a man. I think that's one of the main lessons that I learned growing up. The Black community is important in building a strong community as a whole, because that's our foundation. I believe that's our foundation. If our foundation is strong and can sustain and help develop then we have a better opportunity and better shot at being successful in life. For example, if you see good examples of entrepreneurism, education, family values in your upbringing, in your community, you'll be able to have those goals and set those goals as an adult. Here's a good example, if you don't mind me sharing an example. When I was coaching, I coached in my my spare time, with what little spare time I have, but I was coaching high school football, and one of the kids asked, how can I be at practice every day at 3:00 in the afternoon when I'm not a teacher on campus? And I explained that I'm self-employed, so I can come whenever I'm needed. And the kids literally asked me, what does that mean? I said, I don't have a boss. I'm my own boss. And they still continue to ask, we don't understand. How do you not have a boss? Don't you have a job? That's all they can grasp. They could not grasp the fact that I did not have a job, that I was my own job. I was my own boss, which led me to understand that they've never had that example in their life. So one of the things that I implement in my household is I don't allow my family to ask my kids what kind of job they will have or get. They're only allowed to ask my kids, what kind of business will you open or start, or what kind of opportunity will you create for yourself? Now, an opportunity can be a career, and that's okay. If you go into it looking at it as an opportunity to create a career, not I'm looking for a job, and that's my end goal is to find a job. They're not allowed to talk to my kids in that manner. So my kids have only seen me work for myself, and that's their example. So I appreciate that. I am the owner of World Events Insurance, and World Events Insurance started out of, it's actually funny. It's an interesting story. It started by accident, to be honest. When I was coming out of high school, a high school friend of mine was in insurance. He got into insurance early, and he offered me to get in. I was about in my 20s at Stanislaus, and he was like, man, you got to get in, making good money. And I was like, no way am I ever going to do insurance, ever. I just couldn't picture myself doing it. And I ended up, I owned 2 tanning salons. A black man owning 2 tanning salons. Craziest story. I ended up buying one in Modesto, and this was at the height of the tanning industry. And I went in and I hid myself as the owner. I went in and I told that I was I was helping the out-of-town owners just manage the place, and I was there to clean up and just make sure everything ran smooth. I did that for months until finally people realized, wait a minute, this guy's the owner, because the girls kept coming to me to get permission to do things. So anyway, so that led me to buy another salon. So the salon business was going very well. And when the 2008 real estate market crash hit, tanning is a discretionary income business. So when my customer base started to disappear because they no longer could afford to do it, I started, business started tanking. But I realized that my insurance broker was still living pretty good. And so I went to him and I said, how are you making it when we're all dying here? He said, look, Anthony, you got your car, you got your home, you got your business, you got to pay me. You have to have insurance. You'll always have to have insurance. Every time you pay your bill, I get paid. I ran down there and got my insurance license without an agency behind me. They said, who are you with? I said, I'm not with anybody. I'm just here to get my license. Got my license, went back to my guy, what do I do now? And he kind of showed me the ropes. And because I was already coming from the entertainment industry with World Events promotions, doing concerts here in Stockton, if you don't know, I was the first to bring black comedy to Stockton. So I was the first to bring Def Jam comics here, Comic View comics here, Um, I did Carlos Mencia, George Lopez. People don't know that I was the man behind all that. When K-Win brought those concerts here, that was actually me bringing those here. And so I just took the business of entertainment that I knew and started World Events Insurance and went back to my same industry and started doing insurance for entertainment, sports, and events. I am now the current president of Stockton Black Family Day. It's a privilege to be a part of the organization. There have been some great people that came before me. And so I just hope to fill the shoes that they have left. But Black Family Day is a very important part of our community. And the reason I say that is a lot of people don't know the history behind Black Family Day and how it was born. To give you just a brief synopsis, because I'm going to tie this back into my family, is back in the 60s, UOP, which is a prestigious private school here, university here in Stockton, wouldn't enroll Black students in the 60s. So a group of Delta College students protested to fight to get in, and they won. And so this UOP CIP program, Community Involvement Program, was created to allow local students to participate at UOP. My mother and two uncles were, among people like Tommy Muhammad, were actually the first enrollees in that first class to get to go to UOP. So my mom and my uncles graduated from UOP through the CIP program. And through that celebration of winning, they had a celebration in McKinley Park, and that's where Stockton Black Family Day was born. So it's a privilege to be a president of this organization that's now going on 55 years, and hopefully we can continue the legacy that those courageous students created. I'm also the founder of San Joaquin Black Biz. Local Black business is near and dear to me. And the reason why I started San Joaquin Black Biz as a business owner was not a lot of small businesses, especially ours, have knowledge nor access to resources that can allow them to be successful. And through that organization, I help disseminate information that can be important to them, knowing where to get funding, knowing where to get support, knowing where to get resources, knowing how to promote your business. All those are available at San Joaquin Black Biz. And I also allow businesses to promote themselves, and I keep a database to help people find Black business services. So if someone needs a Black plumber, reach out to San Joaquin Black Biz, and I will give you a list of local Black plumbers to utilize versus just going to anybody, because it's important that we keep our dollars circulating within our community. How else? Here's what I always tell people. How are we going to be rich if we continue to give our dollars to other communities? When they continue to circulate their own dollars and do not bring their dollars here, how can we get rich if we don't circulate our own dollars? So that's a big subject that I am near and dear to. What is the joy of fatherhood? How important is fatherhood? I don't really know how to answer that. When I think of fatherhood, it just, for one, it just brings me pure joy and a little bit of sorrow, because I lost my oldest child to cancer. So when I think about fatherhood, it brings me both feelings. It was a benefit to me to have strong men in my life, to help guide and nurture me and show me how to pass that on to my kids. Um, Being a father there's just no feeling like it. I don't know how to explain it. Watching your young men grow, teaching them how to be men, doing the hard things. I tell my kids, I'm not here to be your friend. We can be friendly, but I'm here to do a job. And my job is sorry for getting a little emotional. My job is to teach you how to navigate this world and be a better person than me. And if there's come a point in time where we're going to have conflict, and we'll navigate that conflict, but when we come out on the other end, hopefully you will be a better man than I, and I would have done my job. And we can still be friendly and love each other, but it's not my job to be your friend, it's my job to be your parent. So fatherhood is the best thing for me. Since I was an adult when my father passed, so I didn't necessarily have anyone that was needed to step in that role. But I will say that, my older cousins and my uncles were always there as mentors to help guide me whenever needed. And even now, there were some gentlemen in the community that I utilize as mentors, just to bounce some things off of sometimes. But that's important, for us to have men in our community that can do that, no matter how old we are. There's always somebody that has knowledge that we don't. What I envision and what I like, my hopes and visions for the Black community and the young Black community is really, I don't want to sound altruistic, but it's really just coming together, learning how to work together. I don't think we've learned that yet, and we've been actually conditioned not to work together. But it's important that we utilize each other's skill set, each other's support to build a community that can produce strong, educated, successful young men and women. I mean, that's my end all be all, is to help build that. If I can help as many as I can, then I'm doing my job, but I need the person next to me to do the same. All too often, we get in professional positions and feel like we've made it, and so then I'm good. I got mine. I'm good. We're not good as long as there's someone still not being able to achieve that same level. We're not good as a whole. I believe that for us to achieve those goals of unity is a word that's so loosely used, but achieve the goal of just collectiveness, it has to start at home. It has to start with your kids. And what I do with my kids is a couple of different things. What I've done is, one, I consistently teach them true history. Okay. I've always stayed involved in their school. I've met with their teachers, and I've specifically have instructed that if there's a topic that involves teaching about our people, I need to review it before it's given to my kid. And if I deem it untrue or conditional thinking, then I will either pull my kid from that lesson or I would teach that lesson myself with proper knowledge. That's one thing, is to really instill in your kids true history, not indoctrinated history, true history. That'll allow them to have a better positiveness about themselves and to help them navigate. The other thing that I do is I talk to my kids about money. Here's a great example. When my 21-year-old now, when he was 14, 15, I told him I wouldn't buy him any more Christmas gifts or birthday gifts. He had everything he needed. He had an Xbox, he had Jordans, he had this, he had that. He didn't really need anything. So Christmas wasn't really necessary to buy him anything. So he didn't believe me. So Christmas came around, and we're at my mother's house, and the presents were going around. He looked at me, he said, "Where's my present?" I said, "I didn't buy you anything. Check your phone. You have a message on there." He checks his phone, and he had an app on his phone for a stash account, which is an investment account. So I bought him Nike stock instead of a gift. And I said, "You're never going to get any money from me again for Christmas or anything. I will give you money to put in here. And this is what we do with it now." So he asked me, he says, "Well, can I cash it out now? I want the cash." And I said, no. So I explained to him how it worked. And 2 weeks later, he calls me up and he says, "Dad, my account just made $40. And I said, "Yeah, your money just made you money. So now instead of buying Nike shoes, you own Nike stock. All your friends that are buying Nike shoes are paying you." He understood that now. So fast forward, he's now 21. He calls me up a couple of days ago. He says, "Dad, have you ever heard of NVIDIA? It's a stock." I said, "Yeah, man, don't tell me about NVIDIA. I was watching NVIDIA like 5 years ago. It was $150 a share. And I'm a member of the Motley Fool, which that follows stocks, right? And so it said to buy it. And I just didn't do it. It was NVIDIA is an AI company. And this was before AI really kind of became popular. And I didn't buy it. And then I saw it again. It was at $300 a share. And I said, "Okay, man, I've lost. I missed the boat on this one. Whatever, it's done." He bought NVIDIA on his own without me interfering at $300 a share. He calls me up, like I said, a few days ago. He says, "Dad, I bought NVIDIA." I said, "You did?" He said, "Yeah, $300 a share. NVIDIA is now $900 a share." But he got in at 300 when I was like, "Oh, I missed the boat." But he bought in because I had introduced him to it back in the Nike stock when he was 15. That's how you change your mindset of the community, is I'm circling back to that, is you teach your kids, and your kids will then be the ones to grow and navigate. Now, he talks to his friends about it that are 20-year-olds. "Man, you got to get into this. You got to do this." That's how we become collective as a unit. It has to start at home, and it has to be taught. We can't allow or just think the school system or these people that don't have our best interests are going to teach our kids how to be unified. So that's how we do it. It starts at home. The advice I have for our Black organizations and the community in supporting those organizations is, for one, you have to get involved. As a community member, you have to get involved in whatever organization that either touches your heart or you feel is a benefit to the community. You got to get involved. Okay, that's the one thing. But as far as our organizations, we have a lot of organizations that are duplicating services, and that's hurting us as a community. You know, you got 5 organizations trying to do the same thing, going after the same market because they don't work together because so-and-so wants to have their own organization and so-and-so wants to have their own organization. But that's not how community is built. If you look at other ethnic communities and the model of their organizations, they may have some small organizations out there, but they typically have a large organization that is the central focal point of that community. A prime example for the Mexican community here would be El Concilio. El Concilio is the central organization for the Spanish-speaking community here in Stockton. They may have some other ones involved, the Mexican Chamber, but they have different organizations that attack different portions of the community, not necessarily overlapping services and fighting for the same dollar. We don't have that yet. We don't have a centralized organization. And so what I propose to these smaller organizations is to figure out a collaboration, come together, bring your organizations together and see where we can fit as a puzzle to create one umbrella organization, but still have arms and tentacles be able to attack certain parts of the community that's needed, but not have 5 organizations trying to do the same thing because I got to have my nonprofit and I got to have my nonprofit. That would be my advice, is we need to collaborate, but we need to communicate. You know, we're not communicating. And hopefully as a new president, I along, with some other organizations, Juneteenth would be one, is to collaborate and communicate. Well, hey, this is Anthony Grigsby. It's been a pleasure here. I want to remind you guys that come out for Juneteenth. Juneteenth is I grew up here in Stockton. I'm a product of Stockton Unified Public School System. I went to Hamilton Middle School, Stagg High School, big fan of the local school system here, good programs. From there, I went on to Stanislaus State, and that's where I finished up marketing there. But I'm born and bred here in Stockton, California. Every Labor Day weekend, every year, Weber Point, come on down, support, enjoy the community, enjoy the festivities that we have there. If you need information, go on your website, look up Juneteenth, Stockton Black Family Day on all social media platforms. If you need business references, go to San Joaquin Black Biz. And of course, if you need the insurance, come see me at worldeventsinsurance.com and all social media platforms.
Oh, oh.